Hello, my name's Alex, and you're watching a thing that I'm making. So, I wanted to talk about Naruto, which is the show I've been watching since I was very young. And I finished all 72 books of it. I have all the 72 novels that I've been collecting for birthday and Christmas gifts for a long time. And I finished the collection about 2015, right after the series ended. And it's been really impactful for my life, so I wanted to share some themes and things. And since graduation, I've reread the entire series front to back. It took about a month and a half. It's a very long series, so if you don't want to get into it, I understand it. But if you've even heard of Naruto, or if you're just interested in some of the life lessons that come from it, because honestly, these kind of lessons come in on a lot of different shows. It just so happens that for me, it's a medium I connect with really well. And I'm not quite sure why, but I think it's partially nostalgia from my childhood and also just a combination of the themes that really resonates with me. So we're going to start at the beginning of this series. The first book, like second. So the first arc, they go and they fight Zabuza and Haku. Well, they all meet each other first, and all this stuff goes down. And the series isn't that big yet. It had just premiered in Shonen Jump, so it's not as like in depth and like I'm sure the editing team wasn't as large and the art style's a little more artsy and less like refined, but it still is impactful, and there's a reason the series took off the way it did. Um, I've heard other YouTubers say like it's a teenage boy and you can well he's a preteen and you can identify with his struggles if you're in the same age group, which I was at the time. And it's just really cool, the art style and everything. I remember growing up and watching cartoons and thinking like, I know what cartoons are, and there's this darker, edgier type of cartoon. I can't really describe it, but you know those shows. And it turned out that was anime, and I was too young to understand what anime was at the time. But anime really caught my heart, and Naruto in particular became like the gateway into anime for me. So I know I like to talk a lot. I want to talk about basically one theme per video, um, and I didn't come. Which theme should I talk about? In the beginning of the series, there's a few. You have Gato, who's running the corporation that's taking over the Land of Waves, impoverishes that region so that he can profit off of it, hires mercenaries to take out his allies. The whole thing is so corrupt. And it was too complicated for me to understand when I was younger. But now I understand it quite a bit more. Um, but it's still not the most like emotionally tugging and poignant part of the beginning of the series. That more so comes from Naruto being kind of a loser in the beginning, and then despite all odds and despite learning that he's been ostracized his whole life because he has a demon fox inside of him, and then Iruka, his teacher, saying, you know, like, I know that fox killed my parents, but this child Naruto is not. He's not the demon fox. I can see past that. The probably the worst thing you could have within you. He sees past that and sees Naruto for who he is, and that's really crazy. It would be great if more people nowadays could look past something someone's done, or look past like someone's race or ideology or any mistakes they've made, and just see like who they are as a person and what have they done with their life, their hands they're dealt. Yeah. So that's not deep enough to go into. I guess one of the biggest themes for the start of the show is how ninja are supposed to be emotionless, heartless killing machines that only go on missions to like finish the mission, and emotions get in the way of the mission. So you're supposed to just like carry out the mission, like do it no matter what. You kill the enemy, you steal the documents, whatever, you go home. That's the end of that. But Naruto and his team kind of run into some trouble with that. They start like identifying with their enemies and start really identifying with the people they're supposed to try to protect. You know, this impoverished nation that's been taken like sieged by this corporation and the basically the Yakuza or whatever who are in charge of it that killed basically the hero of that land. Um, and they fight that off. And it's very emotional because obviously it's a big situation where the child's father-like figure was killed. Um, and they all get... Naruto befriends a lot of people. Um, and they all get kind of entangled. So when the final confrontation comes between the bad guys and the good guys on the bridge, you kind of see that where Haku can't kill Sasuke and Naruto, even though he easily could have, because he cares about them and he's not a heartless killing machine, despite how much he's thought he was. And then you have Zabuza, who is the most like hard killing person ever. Like tried to assassinate his village head, the Mizukage, and by the end of the fight, he's in tears because Naruto just pushed him and said like, "How can you do this to your subordinate? Do you really not care about him as a person? Does their death mean nothing to you that you would just like toss them aside?" And he breaks down in tears by the end, and admits that he wishes he could go to heaven just like he's sure Haku would, because Haku did have a great heart. So Naruto completely like rejects the notion of trying to be a heartless ninja who just like kills because it's his duty. I don't think he ever has an inclination to even try to be emotionless. He says at the end of this, he's going to create his own ninja path. He's going to create his own way, which turns out to not go back on his word. Naruto is like, F that emotionless stuff. Like, let's take people's emotions into account, right? And let's see, like, even the most bad, evil person, Zabuza, like, had a heart inside of him. And maybe if things had just changed, if things had been different, like with Haku, he even said, if things were different, we could have been friends, And I'm sure that's true. I think those are the most important parts of the beginning of the story, the first arc, basically. And what comes through for me is mostly just the fact that you don't have to be emotionless has a couple connotations. First off, when it comes to politics and public life, which I know I wanted this channel to be originally, I've heard some people say, especially in the light of mass shootings, that you can't get hysterical and take emotions into account. But if you look at the field of public policy, the purpose of public policy is to maximize net social benefit. So you want society to be as well off as it can be, right? Emotions count. Like, if people are suffering, that's detracting from net social benefit. If people's children are being killed in schools, or if 58 people are gunned down at a concert, that's... Public policy says that's a problem to fix. And emotions are the drivers of a lot of political actions. I mean, like, I don't think the American revolutionists were just, like, passionless, emotional people who thought down and sat, a 4% tax on liquor, like, 2% might be okay. No, these were, like, emotional, passionate voices of the people who rose up when they were angry and when they felt injustice in the core of themselves, not when they sat down and did the calculus. Sure, like maybe John Adams or James Madison sat down and was like, okay, this is exactly how we're going to write the Constitution. But the normal people of the day, they use their emotions to carry out politics and public policy matters. That was a weird sentence. But, emotions are very important for politics. And people who just say, like, it doesn't matter, we shouldn't fall to the hysteria. Like, the hysteria is there for a reason sometimes. I just don't get the people who see something so horrible and think they can be emotionless about it. They're probably a little sociopathic, to be honest. That's a whole other topic about sociopathy in politicians, which I'm sure is very prevalent, and evidence does show that. But yeah, I think it kind of relates to that, where a ninja can't be emotionless killing machines. Even Kakashi, who's like an elite level, top tier ninja, has disagreements with the philosophy of being emotionless, and he uses his emotions and the things he's learned over the years to be a better person and a better ninja. In politics, throughout history, emotions drive change. It's when you see, like pictures of African Americans in the 60s being attacked by dogs, that doesn't invoke like a textbook response so much as an emotional response, and that's what's led to real good change in this country. So to discount emotion, and I'm not saying like if you're feeling sad one day, carry out a public policy to fix it. I'm saying like if there's like real passionate injustice that's pervasive. And something like gun violence is pervasive. I know it waxes and wanes when the media covers this or that, but gun violence is a daily tragedy. So yeah, it's tearing people and families apart every single day. That's emotional and that's powerful, and we need to use those emotions to help stop it. So that was the one facet of being an emotionless killing machine I wanted to get through. I forgot the other one. So this part of the story also lays the groundwork for another major theme that comes closer to the end of the show, with stopping the cycle of hatred that exists within the series and in real life too. And saying we can be friends if the circumstances were different. And like, I don't have to kill you in this instance. I don't have to defeat you. Like, we can come to some kind of solution. So it's not an exact link, but it kind of lays the groundwork for like, yeah, you guys are enemies, but you could have been friends if things were different. And throughout the series, you're going to see people could have gotten along better if things had just been different. So I'm glad you listened to this. It was a little longer and less organized than I'd like. I'm thinking in the future I might even like write an essay on it first and then speak. But I'm glad you listened, and I guess the title of this theme would be the beginning of Naruto and the small lessons that we learned from it. All right, everybody, take care, and I'll see you in the tuning exams.